The council chamber was huge. It floated in space, orbiting a star that belonged to no one. Inside, thousands of aliens from across the galaxy gathered for an important meeting. The wall showed stars and planets through clear panels. Holographic screens displayed data and images everywhere. This was where the most powerful species in the galaxy made their decisions. Dr. Hana sat quietly in the human section. She was a scientist who studied animals and alien life forms. Next to her sat Commander Day, a military officer with calm eyes and steady hands. They were among the first humans to attend a galactic council meeting. Earth had only joined the council 6 months ago, and everything still felt new and strange. Today's meeting was about the predator ranking system. Hana had read about it in the briefing documents. Every species in the galaxy was ranked by how dangerous they were as hunters. The rankings decided many things: which species got military contracts, which planets got more resources, and who other aliens respected or feared. A massive creature stood at the center of the chamber. His name was Velcros, and he was a Kralathi warrior. He stood 8 feet tall, covered in black scales that shimmered like oil. His eyes glowed red, and when he moved, everyone watched. The Kralathi were currently ranked as Tier 1 predators, the highest level. Velcros spoke in a deep, rumbling voice that filled the chamber. His translator converted his words into hundreds of languages at once. He talked about his species' hunting abilities with clear pride. "We can survive for 6 months without food while stalking prey," Velcros said. "Our scales are harder than most metals. We can see in complete darkness. We can smell fear from 3 kilometers away. Our ancestors hunted the largest beasts on our world to extinction. This is why the Kralathi deserve Tier 1 status." Other species presented their cases too. A wolf-like alien with silver fur described how her pack hunted together, surrounding prey and communicating without sound. A species that looked like giant mantises explained their lightning-fast reflexes and powerful cutting limbs. A slug-like creature slowly oozed forward to explain how its venom could kill anything in seconds. Hana watched it all carefully. She took notes on her tablet, recording observations. Commander Day sat with his arms crossed, his face showing nothing. He had been a soldier for 20 years, and he knew how to stay calm in any situation. Finally, Counselor Thexia called for the human assessment. Thexia was a crystalline being who looked like she was made of living diamond. Light bent and reflected through her body in strange ways. She was the chair of the Predator Ranking Committee. "Humans," Thexia announced, her voice sounding like wind chimes. "Based on our initial studies, you are classified as pursuit hunters. You chase prey over long distances until it becomes exhausted. You use basic tools. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no venom, and limited sensory abilities. The committee proposes a Tier 4 ranking. Tier 4 out of 7, middle of the pack. Not impressive, but not embarrassing either." Hana and Dee exchanged a quick glance. They had expected this. Humans looked weak compared to most aliens. No claws, no thick skin, no special powers. Just soft bodies that broke easily and needed constant food and water. The meeting continued with discussions about resource allocation. During a break, Velcros approached the human section. He had to bend down to look at Hana and Day, which he clearly did on purpose to make them feel small. "Tier 4, Velcros said with amusement in his voice. "That is generous, I think. You tiny creatures with your soft skin. Do you even have predators on your world? Or do you just pick fruit and run away from real hunters?" Some nearby aliens laughed. A few looked uncomfortable. Insulting other species during breaks was technically against council rules, but no one wanted to confront a Kralathi warrior over it. Commander Day stood up slowly. Even standing, he only came up to Velcros's chest. But something in the way Day moved made Velcros stop laughing. Dee had the stance of someone who had been in many fights and won most of them. "We do fine," Day said simply. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. Velcros snorted, which sounded like a small explosion. "I would like to see you hunt on my world. You would not last one night." He turned and walked away, his tail knocking over a chair as he went. Hana put a hand on Day's arm. "Let it go," she whispered. "We knew this would happen." Day nodded and sat back down, but Hana could see his jaw was tight. Being dismissed was one thing. Being mocked was another. When the meeting resumed, the discussion turned to the exact definition of predatory capability. What counted as a natural weapon? Did intelligence factor into the rankings? Should social hunting strategies rank higher than solitary hunting? The arguments went in circles. Some species wanted the rankings changed. Others defended the current system. Voices got louder. Translators struggled to keep up. Hannah raised her hand. It took a moment for anyone to notice. She was small, sitting in the back from a species no one took seriously yet. But eventually, Counselor Thexia saw her and called for quiet. "The human delegate has a question," Thexia announced. Thousands of alien eyes turned toward Hannah. She felt her heart beat faster, but her voice stayed steady. Years of presenting research to skeptical colleagues had trained her well. "Thank you, Counselor," Hannah said. "I apologize if this is a basic question. This is my first predator ranking session, and I want to make sure I understand the methodology correctly." "Of course," Thexia said graciously. "What is your question?" Hannah looked around the chamber, making eye contact with several delegates. She saw curiosity, impatience, and in Velcros's case, barely concealed contempt. "When you rank species as predators," Hannah asked slowly, "are we counting trained ones or wild ones?" Silence fell across the chamber. It was not the silence of agreement or understanding. It was the silence of complete confusion. Thexia's crystalline body flickered with uncertain light. "I do not understand the question." "Trained by whom?" "Trained by humans," Hannah said. "I just want to clarify. When you assessed humanity's predator ranking, were you only considering humans ourselves? Or were you also including the predators we've trained to work with us?" More silence. Then Velcros began to laugh. It was a deep, booming sound that echoed off the chamber walls. "Trained predators," he roared. "She thinks they have trained predators. Like pets, next she will tell us they have trained the weather." But not everyone was laughing. An insectoid delegate named Chirik leaned forward suddenly. Chirik's compound eyes, which could see in multiple spectrums at once, focused intensely on Hannah. Their translator began clicking rapidly. "Wait," Chirik said. "Trained predators? You have domesticated predator species? You have taken wild hunting animals and made them work with you? How many? What classification level?" The laughter stopped. Delegates who had been mocking Hannah's question now looked uncertain. Because Chirik was not stupid. Chirik was one of the leading xenobiologists in the galaxy. Hannah glanced at Commander Day. He gave her a small nod. "Several," Hannah said quietly. "We've domesticated several predator species." The chamber erupted in noise. Questions flew from every direction. Thexia called for order, her voice ringing like struck crystal. It took several minutes for the chaos to settle. When quiet finally returned, every being in the chamber was staring at the human delegates with new eyes. Not with contempt anymore. Not with amusement. With something that looked almost like concern. "Perhaps," Thexia said carefully, "we should hear more about this." Counselor Thexia called for a short break. The chamber buzzed with conversation as delegates gathered in small groups, speaking in hushed tones. Everyone was talking about the humans and their strange claim about trained predators. During the break, several aliens approached the human section with questions. Some were curious. Others were skeptical. A few looked worried, though no one could explain why the idea of trained predators made them uncomfortable. Chirik was the first to reach Hannah's seat. The insectoid scholar vibrated with excitement, their wings creating a soft humming sound. "You must explain this," Chirik clicked rapidly. "My species has been studying xenobiology for 10,000 years. We have never encountered a species that domesticated predators. How is this possible? What methods did you use?" Hannah smiled slightly. "It's a long story. Perhaps we should wait until the council reconvenes so everyone can hear at once." When the session resumed, the atmosphere had completely changed. Before, the humans had been ignored or dismissed. Now every eye in the chamber was focused on them. Thexia called the meeting to order and turned to Hannah. "Dr. Hannah," Thexia said formally, "please explain what you meant by trained predators. The council is most interested to hear." Hannah stood and activated her personal holographic display. A three-dimensional image appeared above her, visible to everyone in the chamber. It showed a four-legged creature with brown and white fur, floppy ears, and a wagging tail. "This is a dog," Hannah said simply. "They're the most common trained predator on Earth. There are approximately 800 million of them living with humans." The chamber was silent. Alien studied the image carefully. The creature did not look particularly dangerous. It looked friendly, that is a predator? Velcros asked doubtfully. It looks harmless. That's a golden retriever, Hannah explained. One of many breeds we've created. But let me show you their ancestor. The image changed. Now it showed a larger creature with gray fur, yellow eyes, and sharp teeth. This animal looked dangerous. It moved through snow with deadly grace, its eyes fixed on something out of frame. This is a wolf, Hannah continued, an apex predator. They hunt in packs, can take down prey much larger than themselves, and can survive in nearly any environment on Earth. About 30,000 years ago, humans began domesticating them. 30,000 years? Chirrut clicked. Your species has been domesticating predators for 30,000 years? At least, Hannah said. Some evidence suggests even longer. We took wolves and bred them for specific traits. Over generations they changed. We created hundreds of different breeds, each designed for different purposes. She changed the image again. Now it showed dozens of different dogs. Tiny ones small enough to fit in a hand, massive ones bigger than wolves, long-haired ones and short-haired ones, dogs with flat faces and dogs with long snouts. All of these came from wolves, Hannah explained. This one was bred to hunt rats in tunnels. This one was bred to guard livestock. This one was bred to pull sleds across ice. This one was bred to track scents across long distances. This one was bred to retrieve birds that hunters shot down. And this one, she highlighted a muscular dog with alert eyes and a focused expression. This one was bred for military and police work. Commander Day stood up. May I, Dr. Hannah? Hannah nodded and sat down. Day pulled up a video on the holographic display. It showed a dog similar to the military breed Hannah had just shown. But this dog was working. This is footage from my military service, Day said. The dog's name was Rex. He was my partner for 5 years. The video showed Rex detecting hidden explosives that would have killed dozens of soldiers. It showed Rex tracking enemy fighters through dense jungle for 3 days without rest. It showed Rex attacking an armed hostile who was about to shoot Day from behind. Rex saved my life 4 times, Day said quietly. He saved the lives of 37 other soldiers. When he retired from service, he came to live with my family. He died last year at age 13. My children cried for a week. The chamber was completely silent now. Aliens watched the footage with new understanding. This was not a pet. This was a warrior, a hunter, a partner. The bond between humans and dogs is deep, Hannah added. Dogs can read human facial expressions better than any other species, including our closest genetic relatives. They understand our pointing gestures, our emotional states, our needs. We evolved together over thousands of years. She pulled up more data. Dogs can detect certain types of cancer in humans by smell. They can predict seizures before they happen. They can find lost children in wilderness areas. They can detect drugs and explosives. Some breeds can run at speeds over 70 kilometers per hour. Some can track a scent that is weeks old across hundreds of kilometers. A delegate from a prey species named Gorn spoke up. Gorn looked like a large rabbit with 6 legs and intelligent eyes. His voice was soft but carried clearly. You did not just tame these predators, Gorn said slowly. You made them love you. You made them want to work for you, want to protect you, want to die for you. Yes, Hannah said simply, and we love them back. On Earth, dogs are not considered animals or tools. They are family members. Velcros had been quiet during all of this. Now he stood, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. This is impressive, Velcros admitted grudgingly, but it is still just one species. You got lucky once. You found a predator that was weak-willed enough to be domesticated. This does not change your ranking. Hannah and Day exchanged glances. Day almost smiled. Hannah shook her head slightly as if she could not believe what she was hearing. Just one species, Hannah repeated. You think we only domesticated one predator species? A new voice joined the conversation. Dr. Isol stood up from the human section. She was younger than Hannah, with bright eyes and an eager expression. She was a behavioral ecologist who specialized in animal domestication. Oh no, Isol said cheerfully. Dogs are just the beginning. Would you like to hear about the cats? She pulled up a new image. It showed a small, furry creature with pointed ears, sharp teeth, and calculating eyes. The creature was grooming itself, looking utterly unconcerned with being observed. This is a domestic cat, Isul explained. They're obligate carnivores, meaning they can only eat meat. Their ancestors were solitary hunters in desert regions. Humans domesticated them about 10,000 years ago, primarily for pest control. There are approximately 600 million of them living with humans worldwide. Another one? Chirrut clicked rapidly. You have domesticated another predator species. 2 predator species domesticated. This is unprecedented. 2? Isol looked confused. Oh, you think that is all? No. I have a list. She pulled up a document on the holographic display. It was long, very long. It scrolled down for several seconds before reaching the end. This is a list of predator and semi-predator species that humans have domesticated or work with regularly, Isol said. Should I start from the top? The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted questions. Some demanded to see the list. Others called for the meeting to be suspended. Thexia's crystalline form pulsed with rapid, irregular light patterns that suggested deep agitation. Ambassador Minho, Earth's senior diplomat, stood up. He was an older man with gray hair and the patient expression of someone who had spent decades in difficult negotiations. Counselor Thexia, Minho said calmly, cutting through the noise. Perhaps we should take another recess. I suspect this presentation will take some time, and the council may wish to prepare questions. Thexia agreed immediately. She seemed relieved to have an excuse to pause the proceedings. As the delegates filed out for the break, Chirrut approached Isol directly. How many? Chirrut asked urgently. How many predator species have you domesticated? Isol looked at her tablet, scrolling through the list. Well, that depends on your definition. Are we counting only fully domesticated species that live with humans? Or are we including species that we work with in the wild? And should we count the predators we are currently studying for potential domestication programs? Chirrut's compound eyes seemed to glaze over slightly. All of them, the insectoid finally said. I want to know about all of them. Isol smiled brightly. Then you should probably sit down. This is going to take a while. When the council session resumed, the atmosphere was different. Delegates who had been casually confident before now sat with focused attention. Security recordings from the break showed dozens of aliens frantically researching Earth's biosphere on their personal devices. Even Velcros looked less certain, though he kept his arms crossed and his expression skeptical. Counselor Thexia called the session to order. Her crystalline form had stabilized, but she still pulsed with faint, uncertain light. Dr. Isol, Thexia said formally, please continue your presentation. The council is ready to hear about your list. Isol stood eagerly, her tablet already displaying organized data. She projected her information onto the main holographic screen so everyone could see. Let me start with the aerial predators. Isol began. Humans have practiced falconry for over 4,000 years. Falconry is the art of hunting with trained birds of prey. She showed an image of a massive bird with a wingspan of over 2 meters. Its talons looked sharp enough to tear through metal. Its eyes were fierce and focused. This is a golden eagle, Isol explained. Eagles are apex aerial predators. Some species can spot prey from 3 kilometers away. Their talons can exert pressure of over 400 pounds per square inch. This particular eagle was trained to hunt wolves. Hunt wolves? A delegate asked in disbelief. But you said wolves were apex predators on your world. They are, Isol confirmed. But eagles hunt from above. Different advantages. Humans work with both species depending on what we need. She showed footage of a falconer working with a hawk. The bird flew from the human's gloved hand, caught a rabbit in midair with incredible precision, and returned to the human to share the kill. Humans train hawks, falcons, eagles, and other raptors, Isol continued. These are not domesticated in the same way dogs are. The birds remain wild, but they choose to work with humans because we are efficient hunting partners. We provide them with food and protection. They provide us with their hunting skills. Chirrut was taking notes frantically. Their translator struggled to keep up with their excited clicking. So you have domesticated land predators and aerial predators, Chirrut said. What about aquatic predators? Isol grinned. I am so glad you asked. The image changed to show a sleek gray creature swimming through clear blue water. It had a long snout filled with sharp teeth and intelligent eyes. This is a dolphin, Isol said. Dolphins are oceanic apex predators with complex social structures and high intelligence. Humans have worked with dolphins for over 2,000 years. Fishermen use dolphins to herd fish into nets. Some military forces have trained dolphins for underwater mine detection and security patrol. She showed more footage. Dolphins swimming alongside human divers, clearly working together. Dolphins protecting swimmers from sharks. Dolphins rescuing drowning humans by pushing them toward shore. Dolphins are not domesticated, Isul explained. They remain fully wild. But they form partnerships with humans by choice. There are documented cases of dolphins working with the same human families for multiple generations. The dolphins teach their young to work with humans, passing the knowledge down. Gworn, the prey species delegate, spoke quietly. You have predators in the air, on land, and in the water, all working with you, all loyal to you. Yes, Isul said simply. She pulled up more images. There are also ferrets, which are small but vicious predators we use to hunt rodents and rabbits in underground tunnels. There are corvids like ravens and crows, which are not predators themselves but are highly intelligent scavengers that humans have working relationships with. Some crows recognize individual human faces and bring gifts to humans they like. The list kept growing. Each new species seemed more impossible than the last. Aliens who had been skeptical now sat in stunned silence. Velcros finally stood. His voice was no longer mocking, but it still carried challenge. This is all very interesting, Velcro said, but these are domesticated animals. You have made them weak. You have made them dependent on you. A true predator needs no help. A true predator survives alone. Commander Day stood up slowly. He pulled up a new set of videos on the holographic display. These are military working dogs in active combat, Day said, his voice calm but firm. This one detected explosives that would have killed 20 soldiers. This one tracked enemy fighters through 70 kilometers of jungle in 2 days. This one took down an armed hostile who was wearing body armor. The footage was clear and undeniable. The dogs moved with deadly efficiency, completely focused on their tasks. They showed no hesitation, no fear. They were warriors. This is a bloodhound tracking a fugitive, Day continued. The fugitive had a 3-day head start. The bloodhound tracked him across 200 kilometers of wilderness in 4 days, through rivers and rocky terrain where the scent should have been impossible to follow. The dog succeeded. He showed footage of a falcon hunting. This falcon has a successful kill rate of 93%. Wild falcons succeed about 40% of the time. This bird is not weaker because it works with humans. It is more effective. Day looked directly at Velcros. They are not weak. They are specialized. They are trained. They are optimized for specific tasks. And yes, they are loyal. That loyalty makes them stronger, not weaker. A lone wolf might be dangerous, but a wolf that trusts its pack, that works as part of a coordinated team, is far more deadly. Chirrut was clicking so rapidly that their translator gave up trying to convert it to words. Finally, the insectoid managed to slow down enough to speak clearly. You have created an army, Chirrut said, their voice filled with something between awe and fear. Not just an army of humans, but an army of specialists. Each predator optimized for different environments and tasks. All working together. All loyal to you. We do not think of it as an army, Hana said gently. We think of them as partners. As friends. As family. That makes it worse, Gworn said quietly. Everyone turned to look at the prey species delegate. Gworn's 6 legs shifted nervously, but their voice stayed steady. Do you not understand? You have not just tamed predators. You have made them love you. You have made them willing to die for you. And you love them back. That bond is more powerful than any weapon. The chamber was silent. Aliens exchanged glances. Some looked thoughtful. Others looked concerned. A few looked genuinely frightened. Thexia finally spoke. This changes the equation considerably. The committee will need to reconsider humanity's ranking. But first I must ask a difficult question. She paused, her crystalline form pulsing with uncertain light. You have domesticated predators from land, air, and sea. You have formed bonds with species that should be your natural enemies. This suggests an unprecedented ability to form interspecies partnerships. So I must ask, for the record and for the safety of this council, could you domesticate us? The question hung in the air like a physical thing. Every delegate in the chamber tensed, waiting for the answer. Ambassador Minho stood slowly. He was quiet for a long moment, choosing his words carefully. Theoretically, Minho said, perhaps. We have studied animal behavior and genetics for centuries. We understand the principles of domestication. Could we apply those principles to sapient species? Possibly. Several delegates made alarmed sounds. Minho held up his hand. But we would not. Minho continued firmly. Domestication requires consent, at least the way we practice it now. In our early history, we made mistakes. We forced domestication. We enslaved our own species. We learned that this path leads only to suffering and eventual rebellion. Modern domestication is a partnership. It must be voluntary on both sides. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various delegates. You are all sapient beings with your own societies and free will. We cannot domesticate you because you are not animals. You are equals. And besides, Minho almost smiled, you are already asking questions. You are already curious about us. You are already considering partnership. That is not domestication. That is diplomacy. That is friendship. That is what we hope to build with all of you. The tension in the chamber eased slightly, but not entirely, because now the aliens understood something important. Humans were not just another species joining the council. They were a species with a unique and potentially terrifying ability to form bonds with anything, including apex predators that should fear or hate them. Gworn spoke again, his soft voice somehow cutting through the murmuring crowd. Show them the horses. The human delegation fell silent. Hana and Day exchanged glances. Isul looked uncertain. Minho frowned. I am not sure that is wise, Minho said carefully. They need to understand the full scope, Gworn insisted. If you only show them predators, they will not grasp what makes your species truly unique. Velcros looked confused. Horses? What are horses? Hana took a deep breath and stood. She pulled up a new image. It showed a large four-legged creature with powerful muscles, a flowing mane and gentle eyes. A human sat on its back and the creature was running at full speed across an open field. Horses are not predators, Hana said quietly. They are prey animals, herbivores. They eat plants. Their natural instinct is to run away from danger, not toward it. Then why are we discussing them? Velcros asked impatiently. Hana met his eyes. Because humans domesticated them anyway. We domesticated prey animals. Councillor Thexia suspended the public session. What had started as a routine ranking debate had become something far more serious. She called for a closed session, restricted to senior diplomats and military officials only. The council needed to understand the full implications of what they had just learned. The smaller chamber was more intimate than the main hall. Only 50 beings were present instead of thousands. The mood was tense. Military advisors from various species stood along the walls, their postures alert. This was no longer just about rankings. This was about understanding a potential threat, or perhaps a potential ally. A Kralathi military advisor, smaller than Velcros but still imposing, spoke first. I must ask the question that we are all thinking. How quickly can humans domesticate a new species? Dr. Hana considered the question carefully before answering. Traditional domestication takes thousands of years. The wolves that became dogs changed slowly over many generations. We selected for traits we wanted, bred the animals that showed those traits, and repeated the process for hundreds of generations. But, a delegate prompted, sensing there was more. But, Hana continued, we understand the process much better now. In the 20th century, Russian scientists conducted an experiment with foxes. They wanted to see if they could speed up domestication by carefully selecting which foxes to breed. Within 40 generations, about 50 years, they created foxes that behaved like dogs. The foxes wagged their tails, sought human attention, and showed physical changes like floppy ears and varied coat colors. Changes that took thousands of years in wolves happened in just 50 years with intentional selection. The chamber was quiet. 50 years was nothing in evolutionary time. It was barely a single lifetime for many of the long-lived species present. And behavioral modification can happen even faster, Dr. Isul added. We can train individual animals within months or years. A puppy can be trained as a working dog in 2 years. A falcon can be trained for hunting in 1 season. The training does not change their genetics, but it changes their behavior and capabilities significantly. A military strategist from a species that looked like armored bears spoke up. Could you domesticate alien species? Species that did not evolve on Earth? We do not know, Hana answered honestly. We have never tried. But theoretically, if the species showed the right traits, intelligence, social structure, ability to form bonds, then perhaps we would need to study their biology and psychology first. Velcros, who had been quiet since the revelation about horses, finally spoke. You said you domesticated predators that hunt you. Explain this. Why would you preserve predators that are dangerous to you? Commander Day stood to answer this question. Because we made a mistake, he said simply. For several centuries, humans expanded across Earth rapidly. We hunted many predator species nearly to extinction: wolves, bears, big cats, sharks. We saw them as threats and competitors. We killed them without thinking about the consequences. He pulled up images on a display. They showed various large predators: tigers with orange and black stripes, massive brown bears, sleek sharks cutting through water. Then we realized what we had done, Day continued. These predators were part of Earth's ecosystem. Removing them caused problems we had not anticipated. Prey animal populations exploded without predators to control them. Forests were damaged. Rivers changed course. Everything was connected in ways we did not understand until it was almost too late. So now we have conservation programs, Hannah added. We protect predator species. We study them. We breed them in captivity and release them back into the wild. We made a mistake and we are trying to fix it, even if it costs us human lives sometimes. Tigers still kill humans occasionally. So do bears and sharks. But we accept this because we understand that we share our planet with them. We have no right to destroy them just because they are dangerous. This statement caused significant murmuring among the delegates. The idea that an apex species would deliberately preserve other apex predators, even dangerous ones, seemed strange to many of them. Chirrut had been processing data on their personal device throughout the session. Now they looked up, their compound eyes reflecting light in unusual patterns. I have been analyzing your domestication timeline, Chirrut said. Their voice had lost its earlier excitement and now carried something closer to awe. Dogs 30,000 years ago. Cats 10,000 years ago. Horses 6,000 years ago. Cattle 10,000 years ago. Your species is approximately 200,000 years old. You have spent more than 15% of your existence as a sapient species learning how to form partnerships with other animals. Chirrut paused, as if the weight of their next words was difficult to bear. Most species in this council achieved sapience and then focused on improving themselves, building cities, developing technology, exploring space. But humans did something different. You focused on other species. You made allies before you made starships. By the time you developed space travel, you already had an army of other species working with you. Gworn spoke up from where he sat near the back of the chamber, and they did not stop at predators. Humans domesticated plants, insects, prey animals, scavengers, everything. I have been reviewing their records. Humans have altered more of their planet's biosphere than any species in this council has altered theirs. Not through destruction, though they did plenty of that too, but through partnership. It is a survival strategy, Gworn continued. My species survived by building walls and hiding behind them. The Kralathi survived by becoming the biggest predators. But humans survived by making friends with everything around them. They turned their entire planet into allies. A long silence followed this observation. Many of the military advisors were taking notes, recalculating threat assessments. This was not the kind of danger they had been trained to recognize. Humans had no natural weapons, no armor, no overwhelming physical strength. But they had something potentially more dangerous: an unprecedented ability to form loyal partnerships with other species. The Kralathi military advisor who had asked the first question now had another. What about humans themselves? You mentioned that you made mistakes, that you nearly destroyed predator species, that you enslaved your own kind. Are humans dangerous to humans? Ambassador Minho took this question. His expression was serious, even sad. Yes, he said simply. Humans are extremely dangerous to other humans. We have fought wars for our entire history. We have killed billions of our own species. We have created weapons that can destroy our entire planet. We are very good at violence, the chamber tensed. But Minho continued, but we are also very good at cooperation, at learning from our mistakes. We have spent the last century trying to stop our own worst instincts. We created global organizations to prevent wars. We established rules about how to treat prisoners and civilians. We outlawed certain weapons even though they were effective, because we decided they were too cruel. Minho looked around the chamber. You asked earlier if we could domesticate sapient species. The truth is, we have been trying to domesticate ourselves, to take our violent instincts and channel them into something productive, to take our tribal nature and expand it until all humans are part of one tribe. We have not fully succeeded yet. But we keep trying, Hannah added quietly. The same empathy that lets us bond with dogs and cats and horses also makes us feel guilt when we harm others. We are predators with a conscience. That might be our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. Thexia, who had been listening carefully to everything, now spoke. Her crystalline form pulsed with steady, thoughtful light. The committee will need time to reconsider humanity's ranking. This is unprecedented. We cannot simply place you in the existing system. You do not fit any category we have created. What do you mean? Velcros asked. Every other species in this council achieves their predatory capability through individual power, Thexia explained. The Kralathi are strong and have natural weapons. The Vex are fast and venomous. The Thros hunt in packs with perfect coordination. Each species has their own method, but it is their method. Their capability is intrinsic to them. She turned her attention to the human delegates. But humans do not work that way. Your predatory capability is not intrinsic. It is multiplicative. You are predators who have turned the entire concept of the food chain into a weapon. How do we rank that? No one had an answer. The question hung in the air, complex and troubling. After a long pause, Chirrut spoke one more time. I have calculated something interesting. If we were to rank humans by traditional metrics, individual capability only, they would remain Tier 4. But if we rank them by total capability, including all their domesticated partners and working relationships with other species, they would rank higher than any species in this council, higher than Tier 1. They would need an entirely new category. That is not how the ranking system works, a delegate objected. Perhaps it should be, Gwyn said quietly. Perhaps we have been measuring the wrong thing all along. We measured individual strength, but humans have shown us that partnership is its own kind of strength. Maybe a stronger kind. Thexia announced that the committee would deliberate and present their decision at the next session. The meeting was adjourned as the delegates filed out. 3 days later, the Galactic Council reconvened for the final session on humanity's predator ranking. The main chamber was packed. Word had spread about the humans and their domesticated predators. Delegates who normally skipped routine ranking sessions had made sure to attend this one. Everyone wanted to hear the committee's decision. Councillor Thexia stood at the center of the chamber. Her crystalline form refracted light in complex patterns, creating rainbows across the walls. She waited for complete silence before speaking. The Predator Ranking Committee has completed its deliberations regarding humanity, Thexia announced. This has been one of the most complex assessments in the history of the Council. We have consulted with military strategists, xenobiologists, historians, and diplomatic advisors. What we learned forced us to reconsider the entire ranking system. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle over the chamber. The current ranking system was designed to measure individual predatory capability. Strength, speed, natural weapons, hunting strategy. By these traditional metrics, humans are indeed Tier 4. They are effective pursuit hunters with tool use, but they lack the physical advantages of higher-tier species. Velcros nodded slightly from his seat. This was what he had expected. A fair ranking that acknowledged human capabilities without inflating them. However, Thexia continued, we quickly realized that measuring humans by individual capability misses what makes them unique. Humans do not achieve apex predator status through individual power. They achieve it through synthesis, through partnership, through their unprecedented ability to form working relationships with other predator species. She pulled up a holographic display showing the various species humans had domesticated. Dogs, cats, horses, falcons, dolphins. The list scrolled past, longer than most aliens had imagined possible. After much debate, the committee has decided to create a new ranking category, Thexia announced. We call it Tier 1A, Force Multiplier Species. This category is reserved for species whose predatory capability is not individual, but multiplicative. Species who have turned cooperation itself into a weapon. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some delegates looked shocked. Others nodded as if this made perfect sense. A few looked distinctly uncomfortable with the idea of ranking humans higher than traditional apex predators. Humanity is the first and currently only species in Tier 1A. Thexia continued when order was restored. This ranking acknowledges both their individual capabilities and their unique ability to leverage partnerships with other species. A human alone is Tier 4. But humans never work alone. They work with dogs, with horses, with birds of prey, with countless other species. That collective capability cannot be ignored. Velcro stood slowly. His posture was different now. Not aggressive or mocking. More respectful, though still uncertain. Councillor Thexia, I wish to make a formal statement, Velcro said. The council recognizes Velcros of the Kralathi, Thexia replied. Velcros turned to face the human delegation. He was silent for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. I apologize for my earlier behavior. I judged humans by Kralathi standards. I looked for claws and fangs and thick scales. I did not understand that you had made your claws think and your fangs love you. That is a different kind of strength. Perhaps a more dangerous kind. He paused again. I would like to request a cultural exchange. I wish to visit Earth and meet these dogs of yours. I want to understand how you earned their loyalty, how you created such deep bonds with predators that should be your competitors. Ambassador Minho stood. The Kralathi delegation would be welcome on Earth, but I have one condition. What condition? Velcros asked. You should not stay in diplomatic quarters, Minho said. If you want to understand how humans live with our partner species, you should stay with a human family. See how we really live. Not the official version, the everyday reality. Velcros considered this. Then he nodded. I accept, Chirik immediately stood. The collective also requests cultural exchange. We wish to study human domestication methods. This is the most significant xenobiological discovery in centuries. We must learn everything. Soon, dozens of species were requesting exchanges and partnerships. What had started as a ranking debate had become an opportunity. These aliens saw something in humanity that intrigued them. The ability to form bonds across species lines. The ability to turn potential enemies into loyal friends. Many species wanted to understand how humans did this. Some hoped to learn the technique themselves. The Council voted to establish the Human Partnership Initiative, a program where humans would share their knowledge of domestication and interspecies cooperation with interested Council members. It was approved overwhelmingly. Only a few isolationist species voted against it, and even they did not argue strongly. As the session ended and delegates began filing out, Dr. Isul was immediately surrounded by xenobiologists from a dozen species. They all had questions about domestication techniques, behavioral modification, genetic selection. Isul looked delighted. This was exactly the kind of scientific exchange she had hoped for when joining the diplomatic mission. Commander Day found himself talking with military officials who wanted to know more about military working dogs. How were they trained? How long did training take? Could similar methods work with alien species? Day answered their questions patiently, though he made it clear that the relationship between handler and dog was built on trust and mutual respect, not just training. Dr. Hana stood quietly near the back of the chamber, watching the chaos of excited aliens asking questions and making plans. She felt someone approach and turned to see Gworn, the prey species delegate who had first suggested showing the council about horses. You knew this would happen, Hana said. It was not a question. Gworn's 6 legs shifted in what might have been the equivalent of a shrug. I suspected. My species survived not by being the strongest or the fastest, but by understanding others, by predicting behavior. When I heard about your domesticated predators, I understood immediately what it meant. You are not just another predator species. You are something new, something that could change how the entire galaxy thinks about cooperation. You think we can teach other species to cooperate the way we do? Hana asked. Perhaps, Gworn said. Or perhaps you will simply show them that it is possible. That prey and predator can work together. That old enemies can become friends. That is a powerful message, Dr. Hana. One this galaxy needs to hear. 6 months passed. The cultural exchanges began. Velcros traveled to Earth and stayed with Commander Day's family in a small house in the countryside. It was strange at first. Velcros had to duck to fit through doorways. He startled the neighbors when he went for walks. But slowly he began to understand. Day had adopted a new dog after Rex passed away, a young German shepherd named Luna. She was cautious around Velcros at first. He was big and strange and smelled wrong, but Day taught Velcros how to interact with dogs, how to let them approach on their own terms, how to earn trust rather than demand it. After 3 weeks, Luna brought Velcros a tennis ball. It was a simple gesture, but it meant everything. She was inviting him to play. She was treating him like part of the pack. Velcros, a Kralathi warrior who had fought in dozens of battles, sat in a suburban backyard throwing a ball for a dog, and something in him changed. He sent a report back to the Kralathi homeworld. The report included a video. It showed Velcros sitting on the grass while Luna rested beside him, her head on his leg. His massive clawed hand was gently petting her fur. I understand now, Velcros narrated in the video. Humans did not conquer predators through strength. They offered something better than being an apex predator. They offered partnership, purpose, family. These creatures, these wolves who became dogs, accepted because humans gave them something worth more than dominance. They gave them love. The video showed Luna suddenly jumping up, tail wagging as Dae's young daughter came outside with treats. The child was small, barely reaching Velcros's knee. But Luna was gentle with her, letting the child hug her and feed her treats with clumsy hands. This is why humans are dangerous, Velcros continued in the video. Not because they are strong. They are not. Not because they are individually deadly. They are not. But because they offer this. Belonging. Trust. Love that crosses species boundaries. How do you fight against someone who offers your enemies a place in their family? You cannot. You can only hope they offer the same to you. Back at the council chambers, Dr. Hana and Ambassador Minho were reviewing reports from the various exchange programs. Chiric species was already conducting their own domestication experiments, though they were starting with small prey animals rather than predators. Several military species were developing working animal programs modeled after human K9 units. Even some of the more isolationist species were quietly requesting information. Do you think this will work? Minho asked. Can other species learn to do what we do? Hana considered the question. I think some will. Others will not have the patience or the empathy. Domestication is not just about training techniques. It is about genuinely caring for another species, seeing them as individuals with their own needs and feelings. Not every species can do that, but some can, Minho said. And that is enough. That is enough, Hana agreed.